Hello and welcome. Today I'm going to read an excerpt from another book by Haemin Sunim, the monk who was originally from Korea. It calls it a wonderful book by Zen teacher Haemin Sunim, who describes with great clarity the suffocating effect of perfectionism. So, this one's called Love for Imperfect Things. And I think when we are out there, I don't know, rolling around on the internet, when we are taking a plunge like I am with the art and craft fair, selling my art, we start to question whether our things are perfect enough, whether the videos that we put out on YouTube are up to scratch. We start comparing them to others. So, without further ado, let me change this over, and the chapter that I'm going to share with you is called Don't Be Too Good. And this book has again got some of these lovely little pictures in all over the place. So it's a lovely little book. So don't be too good. Were you one of those children who were praised for being good? Did you then try hard to be good by always agreeing with parents, teachers, or older relatives? Even if sometimes it was hard, you learned not to complain and bore it quietly. And now that you're an adult, do you still feel a responsibility to please other people? Do you constantly make an effort not to disturb or be a burden on others? But when there's someone who makes things difficult for you, you try just to ignore it or put up with it because it's not in your nature to do or say something that can potentially hurt someone or make someone feel uncomfortable. I have met many good people who suffer from depression, panic attacks, and other emotional disorders due to difficult human relationships. Such people tend to be gentle, well-mannered, and solicitous of others. They are the kind of self-sacrificing person who will habitually put others' wishes before their own. Why, I wondered, do such good people often fall victim to mental and emotional suffering? I too was introverted and meek as a child, and so was often praised for being good. A good son wouldn't give his parents any trouble. A good student who listened to his teachers. All this taught me that it was good to be good. But when I went to graduate school, I began to feel that there might be a problem with only being good. In group work with students who were smarter than I was, with stronger personalities, I found that the tasks everyone wanted to avoid somehow always fell to me. I kept on telling myself that it was good to do good. But as time went by, it started causing me quite a bit of stress. When I opened my heart and spoke honestly to an older friend who was in the same program, he gave me the following advice. Be good to yourself first, then to others. It was like being struck by lightning. Up until then, I had only ever worried about what other people thought of me. I had never once thought properly about caring for myself or loving myself. When we say that someone is good, we often mean that the person complies with the will of others and isn't self-assertive. In other words, People who are good at suppressing their own desires in deference to another's are the ones who frequently get called good. If someone always listens to me and follows my advice, naturally I like that person and think of him or her as a good person. It seems that good sometimes refers to a person who thinks too much of others to be able to express his or her own will. Whilst it's not always the case, there is a particular pattern that can be seen in our relationship with whoever raised us as a child. Many who are self-effacing in this way grew up with a dominant father or strong-willed mother, or as a middle sibling who received relatively little attention from the parents, giving rise to a strong desire to win the parents' recognition by obeying them in all things. In certain cases, when the parents' own relationship is not good or the family dynamic is awkward in some way, there are also those who take it upon themselves to make their parents happy by being good. But the problem is that by living in accordance with the demands of others, we unwittingly neglect our own desires and needs. If as a child you were indifferent to your own feelings, minimizing them or not considering them important, as an adult you will not be able to tell what it is you yourself want to do or who you are as a person. And then when you encounter someone who treats you unfairly or makes things difficult for you, since you do not know how to properly express your own feelings, the anger that ought to be directed towards its instigator is trapped inside you and ends up attacking you instead. Why am I such an idiot that I can't express my feelings properly, can't even speak up honestly? Above all, remember this. What you are feeling is not something that should just be ignored, but something very significant. The feelings inside you will not easily disappear just because you decide to suppress or ignore them. Many psychological problems come about when repression becomes a habit, and the energy of those suppressed emotions is unable to find a healthy outlet. Just as stagnant water becomes fetid and toxic, so it is with our emotions. But it's not too late. From now on, before going along with what others wish you to do, please listen to the voice inside you, telling you what you truly want. Even when you feel yourself buffeted by constant demands, if you really do not want to do something, don't try to push through with it, exhausting yourself to the point that you are no longer able to cope. Instead, try to make others understand what you are feeling by expressing it in words. Don't worry that expressing yourself will cause the other person to dislike you and the relationship to become strained. If the other person knew how you really felt, she probably wouldn't have made such demands on you. Even when everyone says, let's all have coffee, if you want a chai latte, it's okay to speak up and say, I'd like a chai latte instead. We consider it good to be good to others, but don't forget that you have a responsibility to be good to yourself first. And then we've got some of these lovely little sayings or morals or whatever we want to call them. Learn to express what you are feeling without agonizing over it. It is a life skill every bit as important as learning how to read. Without it, dissatisfaction builds up, arguments break out, and relationships can blow up like volcanoes. Does it make you feel frustrated to be the only one doing the work? If so, don't just swallow the feeling, speak up. It's difficult for me to do it on my own. Could you please help out? Little by little, expressing your feelings will become easier. When someone asks for a favour, Don't forget that you have the option to say, I'm terribly sorry, but I can't do that. You have no obligation to take on a task that will be a great burden on you. And if the relationship grows strained because you do not do the favour, it was never a good relationship to begin with. Just as on a plane you are told to put the emergency breathing mask on a child only after you have put one on yourself, there is nothing selfish about looking after yourself first. Only if you are happy will you be able to make those around you happy. When you care for yourself first, the world will also find you worthy of care. In the same way that when you're in love and you want to spend time with only that person, try spending time on yourself. You deserve your care and attention. Treat yourself to a delicious meal, a good book, a nice walk with a lovely view. As you would invest in the person you love, so you should invest in yourself. Let's see, there was some that I think I'd underlined. Oh, here's a good one for those of us that are artists. If you hear a voice within you say you cannot paint, then by all means paint, and that voice will be silenced. Vincent van Gogh. We are worthy of being loved, not because of what we do well, but because we are a precious living being. Even if you don't achieve the perfection the world demands, your existence already has value and is worthy of love. In India, namaste is a common greeting like hello, but there is a beautiful meaning to namaste. It means the divine being within me bows to the divine being within you. We are much greater and more sacred than we think. So there we go. And yeah, there's a little chapter on your existence is already enough. Doing a quick flick through. There's one on family. It's quite a big one. Understanding our fathers. Is that another one coming up there? One on empathy. Listening is an act of love. So yeah, on a Zen retreat. But it's quite, these books are quite an easy read because, you know, they have these lovely little individual sayings and you can almost pick one for the day, which is rather nice. We often feel happiness when we forget ourselves, when we feel grateful for someone. We think about that person, not so much about ourselves. When we most enjoy dancing, we lose ourselves in it. But when we are constantly thinking about ourselves, we become overly conscious and even egotistical. Anyway, lovely little pictures, lovely book. Love for Imperfect Things, How to Accept Yourself in a World Striving for Perfection by Haemin Sunim. So, yeah, that's another lovely book that if you are into being a little bit more mindful and want to reflect on yourselves a bit more, then I would say that's a really good read. So I'll leave a link to that below and take care, everyone.